All right, everybody, welcome back to another dev stream. My name is Kevin. We're going to be working on, full disclosure, we're making it up as we go. Things are a little bit crazy right now, trying to get our next devlog out and playtest ready and all those kinds of things. But I think what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be trying to implement the idea of a crit strike window. Full disclosure, I don't really have a plan around this. I've got a couple ideas that we're going to try. So the two things I'm thinking we're going to do is we're going to try to do the crit strike window, and we're also going to try to figure out why our hits are not working. We're not hearing hit sounds when we hit our enemies as we're playing. So those are kind of the two big things on the list. As always, these dev streams are an open conversation. So huge shout out to the Patreon community that makes these possible. The way this works is we hang out in Discord. You'll hear us talking about different things. You'll hear people chiming in. So if you want to participate, you want to be part of it, hop in the Discord, the Discord Patreon chat channel. Just know that these are recorded. That is one of the things that we have to disclose as part of being in California. And with that, let's go ahead and get going with bring up our Unreal, which we have not actually even got launched yet, so we're working on that. But as far as any other updates are going, I did get the slash a little bit more dialed in, which is cool. And while Unreal is opening, I will go ahead and pitch what I'm thinking we're going to try. What I'm thinking we're going to try is we're going to try to... Hold on one second. My Unreal's not here. What in the world is going on? Here's what I think we're going to try. When we attack, if we put a gameplay effect on our character, what we can do is when that gameplay effect gets removed, we can add another gameplay effect called hit strike available, or hit strike window, whatever we want to call it, a crit strike window. And then what we'll do is when we do the next attack, if the character has that tag, the attack becomes a crit strike. So the goal here is to make it so that when we click, the next time we click, we can see an effect. That is like the small encapsulated version of this that I wanted to try out today. We only have an hour today. I have an insane amount going on with schedules and work and all those kinds of things, so I have to stick to the timeline today. But it's going to be a fun little try. We're going to give it a shot. Cool. Oh yeah, gotta share the screen. So here we go. We got our code base up and going. We got our project coming along. And we can kind of see where we're at. And we can kind of start to stumble through this. I'm actually pretty excited because if we can figure this out, the next thing is going to be hit pause and then chain attacks, like building up damage, which will be a lot of fun. And then I think that is going to start to unlock our combat room, which will be a completely separate level, and that is going to be our second playtest, which we now only have a month to get done according to our handy dandy schedule. While we're waiting, I can maybe wait. That's our bug tracker. Where is our live stream? I can show you all one of the new concepts that I'm really excited about. Check this out. These are explorations for swamp and forest, brute boss level type stuff. So I'm really excited about the art that's starting to come in. It's really cool. Okay, so here we are. Let's go. If we press play. And as always, if the stream cuts out, if we get a lockup or a freeze or whatever, I will be right back after we do a reset and we should be good to go. Also, I will try to call out Discord sounds so that you all aren't chasing your own Discord channels. Okay, so here we are. We've got our character, we've got our swipe, right? Goes both ways, which is cool. So what we need is, we need it so that on the first click, we need to start effectively a timer. And then on the next click, if the window's open, we need to do our crit strike. So let's see if we can figure this out. So here's our melee attack. Pretty straightforward. And what we can do is, interestingly enough, there is a cooldown available. I think we can just do this just like we're doing here. We have the melee swipe. Let's see if we can include this or if we need to add another gameplay effect. So here's our melee swipe. We can do components, modifiers. What's under components? We can grant a gameplay ability. We can grant a tag. This isn't quite what we want to do, but we could apply additional effects. Look at this. Okay, so on application, gameplay effect. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. This is the daisy chain. I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's give it a shot. Okay. By the way, full disclosure, I don't know if this is the best way to do this. We're just giving this a shot. So let's just duplicate this. We're going to create a gameplay effect, and we are going to call this, let's call this crit strike. Crit window setup. All right, and my plan is in here, we're not going to do any of this. We're not going to apply any effects. We are going to Alexa, I thought that there was a thing where when it finished it would do something. Hold on. Calculation, conditional gameplay effects. That's interesting. What's the condition? Nope, that's not quite what we want. Component. Okay, so this thing is going to hold on. This doesn't, I don't quite have what I need here. So what I want to do is when we do our swipe, we're going to put this crit window setup. I thought we could apply a tag to the actor as part of this.
The self or the target?
The self. Like under modifiers. Nope, that's not what we want. Components. Apply additional effects. Block abilities with tags. Grant tags. This is what we want. Okay, cool. So we're going to grant a new tag. And the tag that we're going to grant is going to be, this is the other thing, we need to spend some legit time going through our tags and figuring out the best way to organize these, because these are not very well organized right now. We've got grenades, interactions. I'm curious, do they have crit in here anywhere? No. Melee. So we have melee attack, defend. Oh, here's a state. I like this. Ability state. So let's do we're gonna do, let's add a state, and we're gonna call this crit prep window. Okay. Now, wait, where did that go? Okay, let's try crit prep window. Okay, so this is going to apply the tag. This is going to be a duration, and it's going to, sure, let's do, we can keep that's fine. We're not going to do any executions in the sense that we don't need to. This is literally just a placeholder. We're not going to do a gameplay queue. Oh, actually, because we need to flash the VFX. We need to flash the VFX when this thing finishes. Okay, so for right now, let's just get our crit prep window on. Okay, so that's compile, save. Our melee swipe is going to apply a different gameplay effect, and this is going to be our crit prep window setup. Okay, so that grants, so what's going to happen theoretically is our melee attack is going to do the melee attack swipe. The swipe is going to have the VFX for the gameplay queue, and it's also going to put this crit window setup. This gameplay crit window setup is going to come in, it's going to grant a tag to the actor. The tag the actor is going to have is this crit prep window. Hold on though. What we need though is when this gameplay effect gets removed, we need something to happen. Do we have any way to do that?
There's a modifier.
There is?
Or
okay.
A component. Sorry, there's a component.
There is a component.
It is the it's in apply additional effects, and you do it under on complete. And there's always normal creature.
Actually then we don't even need to do this. We don't need a second one because, hold on a second. This target grants the tag. Oh yeah, we do. Yes, we do. We do. Okay. So on complete, although I don't see on complete. On complete always. Yes, actually this is it.
Yeah.
On complete always. Okay. So then what can we do here? We can do another gameplay effect. Oh gosh. This is going to be awesome if this works. Also, still don't know if this is the way to do this, but it should be fun. All right, so let's browse to this. Let's duplicate this. And this is going to be the gameplay effect for crit strike window. Okay. Now what we want this to do is we don't need the tags. We can clear this. We don't need the window setup or anything like that. We are not applying additional effects. We are going to apply tags though. I got rid of the tags, didn't I? Yeah, we did. Okay, so this is going to have a duration. Let's make it, we'll keep it 0.75 for right now just to make it easy to test. But I do want my tags back. So we're going to apply grant tags. And the tag that we want to grant now is crit strikes available, basically. So I think, where is this? Crit. Okay, so let's add in here. We're going to add a subtag. This is going to be crit strike window active. Let's just call it. Why not? Let's get super verbose with it. we're going to do crit strike window active. Okay, cool. So that's going to be that. Okay, now we need one other thing. We need a V effect. We need a V effect to play if all of this stuff works. So let's compile and save this. And then we're going to do this as a gameplay cue. Where's our cues? Our cues are up here. Gameplay cue notifies. Gameplay cue notify. Widget looping. Damage. Where's our slashes? Slash. Melee. Here's our melee attack. Here's our gameplay melee swipe. Here, no, that's a gameplay cue. Is this the one? Rotate the facing. Yep, this is the one where it does, and it creates this melee deal. Cool. This is DIY. So what we need is, let's see is there an emitter we can just use rather than creating effects today. Let's try this. Inside of our shooter VFX pack, there's particles, hits and explosions. I think we could possibly use one of these. Let me see something. Come on. Okay. That is a bit much. But that will serve the purposes of what we need for right now. Like, you will know that there's a crit strike available if you see that. That is for sure. However, let's do a couple things. Let's take this and drop it into here. We're going to copy it here. We're going to go ahead and just as a placeholder, we're going to do this. Oh, I forgot to start perf force. Hold on. Perf force. Go. Okay. And then inside of here, this is going to be our, oh, what is happening? This is going to be Niagara system. Also, our MS Niagara system is named wrong. This is going to be crit flare. And in here, we're just going to make a couple quick changes. And we are going to get rid of when it shows up. We don't need smoke of any kind. Zoom out a little bit. Okay, we don't really need the electricity. Okay, and we don't need, I believe it's probably the second set of sparks that are gravity. Or is it the first set? I think it's the second set that we don't need. We don't need these. I don't think we need these sparks either. I don't think. I was wrong. We need those. It's these. It's probably these. No? Dude, which sparks is this? Oh, I see. We have more sparks over here. It's got to be those. There we go. Cool. That's starting to look more like crit strike. Whatever. Good enough. If we see that, that's our indicator that we want to pop this. We want to hit attack again, and we will get our crit strike. So let's see if we can get this daisy chain to work. So now we have our setup. Here's our crit strike window. In our crit strike window, we need a game. We also need a game cue notify that's going to play our effect. So let's duplicate this. This is going to become our game cue notify crit strike. In here, we're just going to change this to on burst, and the effect that we're going to play is going to be our crit strike flare. We're not going to do any rotations of it. We're just going to do it flat out. We could potentially, yeah, let's keep the offset for now. That's not going to hurt us. We don't need to set this Niagara variable. That is not a thing. We're going to get rid of all this and return. Okay, so this is now our game queue notify. If we look at our class defaults, we do need to change our tag here. This is our game queue notify melee attack. This is going to be a game queue for crit strike. Game queue crit strike. Crit strike. Okay, compile, save. So we have our crit strike. We don't need our melee attack anymore. We have our crit strike window. The gameplay queue that we want to play is here. This is going to be crit strike. Okay, so we can compile and save that. So what should happen, dude, if this works, this is going to be insane. Okay, so what should happen is we should do our attack, which is going to put the gameplay effect for the melee on there. Okay, the melee effect is going to start a window that will be 0.75 seconds long theoretically. That window is this gameplay queue setup window. And this window, on completion, thanks to Naroda's help, is going to oh, it doesn't look like we filled in our crit strike.
I only want credit if it works.
You only want credit. Yeah, I love that's what, right. I love that. Okay, so this window setup, when it completes after 0.75 seconds, is going to trigger our crit strike window. Our crit strike window. There's probably a better way to do this, y'all, but it's a lot of fun to try. Okay, our crit strike window is going to trigger crit strike active, which should in turn call the gameplay queue notify, which should in turn play the visual effect. There are so many things that could go wrong with this, but let's just see what happens. Okay, so either okay, so we definitely don't see the crit strike window playing. That doesn't mean that it's not working. It could be as simple as the effect is not there. So let's see if we're even triggering this on burst. Nope, we are not. So there is probably a break in the chain. I have a couple questions. Our melee attack triggers the game queue notify, but when it applies the gameplay effect for the swipe, when the swipe finishes, this swipe is instant. Does it actually trigger this game queue notify of 0.75 seconds? Because it's an instant application. So
probably not.
Yeah.
But
what we could do is do it on finish though instead. We could try that.
I don't think it'll finish if it doesn't have to.
No. I mean, when the hold on, what was that thing? Oh, it was a modifier, right? If we move this from apply additional effects to underneath modifiers, and in the modifiers we wait, no, that wasn't a modifier. Was it an execution? No. Wait a minute. Oh, I thought there was one where we did where apply additional effects underneath components. No. We just did one where when it completed, it would apply that. So when this window...
It's on melee swipe, isn't it?
On complete always. Here it is. Additional effects. Under components, apply additional effects. So components, apply additional effects, on complete always, and then we need this, the window, the crit window prep here. Crit window setup. Compile. Does not like that. This is data only blueprint, so only the default values are shown. Wait, what?
I would guess you can't do that if it's instant. Maybe try setting instant to duration, see if it compiles.
Interesting.
I'm really surprised that you can't apply an additional effect from an instant.
You know what's interesting? That also just broke everything. Because for some reason when we do this as... Yeah, so we can't do this here. So if we get rid of this, can we compile? Oh, you know what though? We should just be able to do it on application. Crit window setup. Compile. Okay, that works. We can do instance and we apply it on application. That actually makes sense too. Okay, our swipe is back. So our swipe is back, that's cool. Now, here's the thing. Theoretically, we should be applying this gameplay effect right away. What I don't know is I don't know when we do this crit window setup. Here, let's do this. Let's just put a queue. I want to see if this is coming here. Let's do no, gameplay queues. Crit. Okay, so either it doesn't look like it's getting triggered at all. It doesn't look like this crit window setup is happening. As a result of that, that doesn't work. Compile. Hold on, what did that say? Did you see that error? It said it said no input trigger detected on, no, hold on, where was that? Oh, I thought it said something about the gameplay queue. So our melee attack. Alright, let's try this a different way. Rather than daisy chaining off the melee swipe, let's just apply it separately. Okay, so we're going to go back to clean melee swipe. And what we're going to do here is when we do the attack, we're also going to apply. We're going to basically duplicate this. And we're going to apply our crit strike one here. Okay, and we're going to give it the same information as we did with the others. And this one is going to be our crit window prep. Crit window setup. Compile and save and play. Okay, so crit window setup either hold on. Crit Windows setup. Grants tags to actor crit window put. Applies additional effects. Oh, we don't need this. I wonder if it's choking because that was there. It should be calling the gameplay queue. But I am not seeing it hit this breakpoint at all. Okay, that's just weird now. Because we
What
know...
does the event graph look like for that queue?
For the queue?
Yeah. That's the on burst function.
Oh, you're right.
What's the event graph?
Yeah, but it's not in the burst, though. You're right, it's not in the burst. It's in the... The reason the burst works is because it's part of the gameplay ability, and we were adding it to... No, hold on. The burst should be in the gameplay effect, right?
I'm trying to find the single working queue that I have in my...
I am like, I'm so turned around now. Gameplay attack, gameplay effect, melee swipe. Gameplay attack on input trigger. Additional costs. I've completely lost where the burst windows are. There used to be a thing. Those are ability triggers. This is the gameplay ability. This is the gameplay effect. Oh, no. Wait, that's in the queue. Hold on. Queue, defaults, burst effects. Here we go. Burst particles. So here's the thing. Our gameplay queue notify, if we go, actually this works the exact same way. If we go here and we go to our melee attack, this melee attack, oh, did we not update the tag? Is that all it was? Oh god, we didn't update the tag. Crit strike. Is that all it was? Nope. It's not all it was. It's something else too. So our gameplay queue notify for our attack has nothing in the burst particles, nothing like that. There's basically nothing here. But this trigger gets triggered, like we will hit this breakpoint when we attack. So that works fine. Okay, so we know that if we do a gameplay ability and we apply the gameplay effect to ourselves as a swipe, this hits our GE melee swipe. Here's our GE melee swipe. Our GE melee swipe is instant. There are additional effects here. We could decide to get rid of those or not. And then we have our gameplay queue melee attack. Okay, so our gameplay effect for our Windows setup is the only difference is one is instance and one is not. This is melee attack. We know we're hitting this one. Ah, there we go, dude. So burst only works if it's instant? Is that what we're discovering here?
Is burst a Lyra thing?
I don't know.
I don't see burst in the overridable functions in my gameplay queues.
Yeah, it might be a Lyra thing. But we are now doing it. We are now hitting it, at least. So this is in our crit strike. However, we are not seeing our visual effects playing at all. Which could mean that Well, let's do something else. Let's try something. Let's do, rather than crit flare, let's do a version of this. Let's take this, and I am going to, what do we have for colors in here? User, parameters. I don't have any colors. Are you kidding me? I can only create a red effect right now? Oh gosh. Okay, so the fast way to test this, because it's already 12:11, is gonna be to go like this, take this, duplicate it, and this is going to be /1, and let's make this one blue. So in here, let's just change this to a blue. Same thing here. Where's our colors? No. Initialize particle. Change this to blue. Okay, we'll call that good enough. What I want to do is in our crit strike, I'm going to spawn the melee /1, compile and save and play. We can get rid of the burst, breakpoint. Yep, you can see it playing. Okay, so it is playing now. You can kind of see it sideways, but it is playing. So let's take this and, you know what? Where is our melee attack? Maybe we do need this. Because the effect might be sideways. That's interesting to think about. So if that's the case, we're going to come back up through here. We'll feed back into here. And we'll bring back our rotations like so. And now when we play... Okay, cool. So, interestingly enough, we are getting to our crit strike. Okay? Now, what we want to do is let's go back to our crit window setup. Why does this have to be... Okay, if we change this to has duration, we no longer see it. Okay, so it looks like maybe you're onto something and we're not getting burst. Burst is not a thing when we do
is there an on active?
yeah, we got on active and we have on execute. So we're going to put breakpoints on both and see which one we're hitting. Parameters. Why wouldn't you just auto plug these in if there's going to be required, man? Okay, the music stopped for me. Can you all still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. On active. Okay, so if it has duration, it's not a burst. I mean, that makes sense. You have to use on active. Okay. We might still be able to recover here. So let's take all this burst goodness. Let's copy it and bring it into, we said active, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's paste this all in here. Oh, so much spaghetti. Okay, so on active, we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this. Compile. Oh, it doesn't like that at all. And that is because we do not have our rotation facing offset, which we're just going to paste in here. What? Rotation facing offset. And this is a rotator. Compile. Interesting. It doesn't know what that is.
You might have to refresh the nodes.
Let's see if that works. Because there is no refresh on these.
Oh,
Let's see if that compiles. Interesting, I just have to rebuild it. That's kind of weird. We're gonna go 45 in here, just to make this like so, and negative 45 up here, like so, and there was a 180 there too. 180, compile, still not happy with something. Cast a 2D hero pawn. This is a target. Compile, save. Compile, save. Let's go compile and save. La-di-da-di-da. Okay, cool. So we hit our we are hitting our strike. Okay, so even with duration, we're hitting our strike. Okay, so now we just need to go one more. Right? So in our strike, where is it? Our GE melee crit setup. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do our crit strike here. We're going to clear it. There's going to be no tags. So this is going to have a duration of 0.75 seconds. Then this is going to do the grant window prep, and then we're going to do the adding of the component to do apply additional effects on complete always. We're going to finally do our crit strike window. Okay, and then our crit strike window is going to put the crit strike on. So, oh my god, it worked. That is so crazy. Okay, so you'll know there's a delay because the first one finishes, then the second swipe happens, right? So you can see it. And it's 0.75 seconds later. So if we change our crit strike window setup, if we change this to something really long, let's go 1.5 seconds. Compile and save. Look at that. Okay, so that gives us the ability to size both how long after the initial melee attack, because maybe we have like a melee heavy attack and a melee light attack one day. The point here is that what's going to happen is it's going to put a window prep gameplay effect on it. It's going to have some duration, something really tight, probably aligned with the length of the attack. So the first one's going to be pretty short. Then it's going to open the window. That window is going to be visualized by this effect. Now let's see if we can bring this home and get our the real effect to play. So here's our crit strike. This is the slash. We want the crit. And I think this may just be as simple as a facing thing. Okay, it's not just a facing thing. So let's take a look at what's going on with our crit flares. I have a couple ideas. One of them is, are we culling this? Are we using distance-based culls? Yes. So this is using distance-based culls. So let's turn that off. No distance-based culls. None. On any of these. Okay. So let's just see if it was being culled because of distance. And if it is, I can explain why that's happening. Boom! That's kind of a big crit window. Okay, so why is that happening? That's kind of cool actually. Okay, so why is distance-based cull a thing with these visual effects? The reason is what's actually happening for the way this game is set up is, if we take a look at this, this is our level. You can see it's relatively 2D, pretty flat. Our camera for this game is sitting, I wish I could show you, here I'll show you by doing this. Our camera is sitting like way out here. And the reason it's way out there is because I am using a focal length trick, where what you do is you put your camera far away with a really long lens, and what that does is it helps flatten what you're viewing. It's a photography trick. If I come in too close with the camera, I have to widen the lens. And as I widen the lens, what that does is that increases the depth, and it makes this 2.5D 3D platformer look really funky. So by moving the camera way out there and lengthening the lens, we get a flattening that happens. It's just part of the way camera lenses work, stuff like that. Now, the downside of this in this game is this creates all kinds of havoc. So because the player is often associated with where the camera is, what ends up happening is things like visual effects don't play because they're being culled. I don't know if you noticed, the distance on that culling was 6,000 units. Our camera's 12,000 units out in space. That also means that sounds are really messed up because things like attenuation radiuses don't work. They don't work. And the reason they don't work is because in order for me to have an attenuation radius that reaches out 12,000 units, it's going to cover half the map. And that means that every single sound in the game is going to have overlapping attenuation radiuses, which is going to cause havoc and create all kinds of problems as far as performance when you have too many overlapping attenuation volumes and stuff like that. So that's a quick explanation of why that was a thing. Okay, now for this, what we're going to do is we're going to make this a lot smaller, a lot smaller. Also, we don't need the whatchamacallit. It's the in the explosion there's a it's not a reflection, heat wave. It's like a
shockwave.
Yeah, but there's a name for it. You know when you see the heat wave on the desert and it kind of waves the light? I forget what it's called. Where you see the heat and it kind of bends the light close to the ground. Distortion. Right? We don't need the distortion. If you look at this, the distortion is kind of nuts. Boom. Like all of the... You can kind of see the letters get distorted and everything. Yeah, we don't need that much distortion. But first, let's cut the size of all of this stuff in half. So we're going to take our initialized particle and lifetime. This is a mesh, so we're going to scale this by 2. We're going to cut all of these in half. Sprite size 0.5. I don't think we need a light. We're going to get rid of the light. And attraction sparks, we're going 0.5. Okay, let's see what that looks like. This is probably still going to be too big. It's better though. Yeah, it's better. We got to get rid of that distortion because we can't even see the crit strike. So let's go half again. So in this case, we're going to go initialize particle. Let's go 1 and 50 and 0.25 and 0.25. Initialize particle 0.25. Okay, and then I believe refraction sphere. Oh, can we just turn that off entirely? There we go. Okay, so that worked from the standpoint of it's there. It's way too tiny. It doesn't have the effect. We need it to be sparky and all those kinds of things. We don't have any of that. So we would want to fix all that. Oh, those go inwards. Interesting. I want those to go outwards, but that's fine. These got too small. And I think we changed the size of the wrong thing. Okay, something like that. Something like that, like a star or something is going to work. Now, the timing of this has got to be way tighter. So now what happens is, effectively, we've got this daisy chain. And we're going to wrap this up here and call that a win. No crashes, good stumbling. As always, thanks for the help, you two. It's awesome. But to wrap up, here's what we got. We have our melee attack base. It is applying a gameplay effect to the character, which is our melee swipe. At the same time, we're also applying our crit window melee effect. Our crit window melee effect setup, okay, has a duration. Right now it's really long. It is 1.5 seconds. We can trim that down to 0.5 seconds. So 0.5 seconds after you attack, your crit window is going to open. When this thing finishes, because remember, it starts at the same time the attack starts. So you get to 0.5 seconds. What's going to happen is it's going to trigger another gameplay effect, which is our crit gameplay effect for the crit strike window. This triggers the visual effect, which is the visual cue for the player to hit the button again. Okay? It also applies an active window is active. So the next piece of this is the next time we currently have a duration. The duration is currently 0.75 seconds. So for 0.75 seconds, we should have the additional tag on the character for crit strike window active. So the next time we melee attack, if the player has the tag, we should be able to print crit, theoretically. We could probably try it. Do we really want to try it right now? Let's see. Has tag, is it fast? Has any matching gameplay tag, and let's go make a container, make a tag container from tag, and let's do crit strike window active. If this is true, we're going to print string, and if it's false, we're not going to do anything, and we'll just put a breakpoint here. Let's just see if we hit it. There's a couple of things. Whenever I see this yellow pin, it makes me nervous, so I don't know if this is going to work. So theoretically, once we see the crit, we should be able to press attack again right away and see. Okay, but it's not. So either our tag is set up incorrectly, or we're not getting granted the tags. What is the tag that we're granting? Strike window, ability, type, state, crit, strike window active. And we're granting this as a tag to the actor. Which actor is the question? So, tag has any matching gameplay tags? That's the green one. Oh wait. Tag has matching gameplay tag. Let's check crit. Strike window active. Oh, interesting. I think we also have a multi-triggering thing going on. Okay, so something is happening where either we're not actually being granted this tag, or what is possible is the tag is being removed, or the tag is not on the actor that I think it's on. Ability type state, crit strike tag, window grant tags to target actor. Target actor in this case, yeah, I don't know which. I'm gonna have to do some debugging here, but the point is we have our daisy chain with a couple little tweaks. The idea will be when we come in here, we will have the ability, whether we do it in here or we do it in general attack setups or we do it in code. The idea is going to be, if you have crit windows active, you can either do something simple like apply more damage, or what you can do is you can stack energy, whatever it is. There's so many things you can do, but I gotta figure out where this tag is going and if it's getting applied, and that is going to be what we kind of spend some of our time doing. So, did you all have any questions before we call today a wrap?
Nope, I don't think so.
Nothing for the stream. Nope.
Okay, nothing for the stream. So, with that, let's call that a wrap up. Everybody else, if you're watching this after the fact, thanks for checking out the video. Totally appreciate it. As always, Patreon, thank you so much. Keep an eye out. Actually, by the time this releases, if you are in the regular community, hopefully we've launched our first playtest. And as always, thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for helping spread the word and supporting what we're doing. My name's Kevin. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, weekend, etc. I will catch you on the next one. Take it easy.